I hope you all will take the next 35 minutes or so to really listen to this interview I did several weeks ago with a good friend, Craig Scoville. I was introduced to the Kids Across Cultures organization several years ago and really got excited about their program and the good they were doing in other parts of the world. Was looking for a way to get my kids personally involved in bringing life change in other parts of the country and in other parts of the world. And KAC gave us a place to do that for my kids. Since getting to know KAC, I've had an opportunity to take my son, Zane, to China and my daughter, Sarah, as well. And I'm looking forward to taking my youngest, Rebecca, in the next couple of years also. Wow, what an incredible trip, an incredible opportunity to serve. Well, obviously we all can't travel overseas, though in today's world, we're all becoming closer and closer together each and every day with technology and what's available to us. And maybe you can't take your kids or your class or your school to another part of the planet, but in today's day and age, you can still have a huge impact on the lives of others. And KAC is an organization dedicated to doing just that. I apologize in advance for the quality of the audio in a few places during our interview. We had a feedback loop of some sort, and we edited out much of the feedback, but there were some places where it was just impossible to do. So I just ask you to bear with us during those few times where I'm talking and the feedback is most prevalent. And listen to Craig, listen to the message he shares, and it's my hope that you catch a little bit of the vision for what KAC is all about and what they're doing, and want to share that vision with the kids of your school. Get ready for a powerful message and opportunity for your kids to bring life to kids on the other side of the globe. This episode of the School Zone podcast is brought to you by School Spirit Vending. School Spirit Vending, hassle-free year-round fundraising for your school. We do all the work. You cash the check. Hey, School Zone listeners. This is Matt coming at you from Stephenville, Texas, and I am excited about our interview today. The gentleman I've got on the program is a guy by the name of Craig Scoville. Craig is a board member of the nonprofit Kids Across Cultures, which is an organization committed to improving the lives of kids across the world. KAC has recently launched a program called Clean Water Kids that directly gets schools involved in some of KAC's work. So I just wanted to bring Craig on and give him an opportunity to share a little bit about what KAC and Clean Water Kids is up to and how you and your school might help them do their work. Craig, say hey to our audience and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, good morning. It's good to see you guys, or good to hear from you guys. I don't really get to see you. Yeah, I've been working, Matt, with Kids Across Cultures now for several years. Before that, I was from about 2000 to 2008, was working in Southwest China with an organization called Partners in Hope, a nonprofit organization there, doing similar work that we do with Kids Across Cultures. Primarily, we work out in real remote rural villages with minority groups, primarily agriculture-based communities, to help provide medical care, basic healthcare training, nutritional training. We do educational programs where we help children who wouldn't normally be able to afford to go to school. We are able to help them get into school, stay in school, provide healthy food, meals and stuff every day for them, their books, all the things they need to be able to go to school and hopefully improve their family life as well as their education, of course. And then another thing that I've always been really passionate about is provide clean water to villages that don't currently either have a water source or that water source is contaminated, bacteria, different things. that causes lots of illness in children from the time they're born, of course, all the way through life. So, yeah, Kids Across Cultures, when we came back to the States from Southwest China and started with Kids Across Cultures, it was really a good, smooth transition. The projects that I was able to kind of set up and do while living there, we've been able to set up and continue those projects from the U.S. via Kids Across Cultures.
I've been blessed to have the opportunity to accompany Craig on a couple of trips in the last few years, and to see the impact that KAC is doing over in China is just incredible. To know that in so many cases, these families and these kids have never had access to clean water like you and I take for granted every day, and to do simple things like give them a water filter and teach them how to clean it and maintain it so that their family can be using clean water is huge for them. Craig, why don't you talk a little bit more about some of the water projects that KAC has done, and then more specifically about the filter project?
Well, Matt, I like to I don't know, one of the things in my mind is that these are people projects. And you know firsthand from going with me to these villages that really it's a lot. I mean, when you think about, okay, we're doing a water project, we're piping water from a spring down into the village into a holding tank so that a village has clean water. That's a great thing, but it just misses a little bit, or it really misses a lot of what that project really is. When you step into one of these villages, again, you know, Matt, we've done that together, and so we've experienced this together. And you see families, small children, who every day wake up, they're not healthy because they don't have good nutritional practices. And it's not because their parents don't want to, it's just that they have a lack of understanding of what good nutrition is. Wake up every day with stomach issues, diarrhea, being dehydrated from, you know, day in, day out, and all the problems that come with that because of really simple things that could be fixed that come from waterborne illnesses, waterborne disease. To see the look on a mom's face when you talk to her about the health of her child, and you realize she knows her child is not healthy. She deals with the physical illness issues day in and day out. She knows that her child has far less of a chance of getting an education simply because that child may not be able to sit through class in a school all day because of, you know, the illnesses that come with drinking infected water. To see that on someone's face, and then to help them move from that place of desperation to, man, something this simple can help my child. Something this simple, you know, to see when we place water filters in a home, and 2-3 weeks later, that quick, when clean water is introduced, they're no longer taking in the bacteria, these pathogens that are making them ill. To see them begin to gain weight, to begin to become hydrated, they don't have all the dehydration issues that they've had before. To see them be able to, you know, laugh and have fun and enjoy being a kid. To me, that's the project. And man, when you can do some simple things to see that happen, it's life changing for a community, for a village, for a family, for a child, but it's life changing, Matt, you know, for you and I to be able to do that is amazing. So, you know, the water projects consist of different things. Some of the villages we encounter don't have a water source. And up in these mountains where we typically go in southwest China, down in Yunnan province, it's real mountainous terrain, lots of natural springs, but even those natural springs, the water is contaminated. It's not clean water. But what we're able to do is help a village. We set up a system, build a tank, a holding tank, pipe water to that tank, and then water from that tank then goes into each home. So they've actually got access to water. They don't have to go and carry water every day or get water from streams that are even more contaminated. But then we use the CWF water filters. That's the ceramic water filter. And we place those in every home that has small children or elderly people. And it's a real simple system. Basically, you put contaminated water into this filter pot, and it has a ceramic pot inside of it that it's basically made up of clay. It has some things in it that are able in the firing of the clay that burn out and give it actually a porous type of texture. In those, in particular, in Southwest China, we use rice bowls. And then it has a silver product mixed in it too. That covers those pores, and actually that's what takes out all the pathogens, the biological things that cause illness. It actually chokes it out and kills it. And I'm not a scientist. I don't know exactly how that works, but I know it works because I've drank the water and I've seen families drink the water and seen change. So each family gets one of these filters, and that's where they get their drinking water, through that filter, and it literally cleans out like over 99% of any bacteria, any pathogens, any hard water substances, so sand and manure, things that get into the water system. It takes that out, and they're basically probably drinking cleaner water than you and I do out here in rural Texas. So pretty amazing.
Talk a little bit about, I mean, you've been over there for years developing a relationship. Talk about maybe some of the success stories or some of the things that you have seen happen maybe on a little bigger or broader scale by being there, by educating, by pouring yourself and others on the team, pouring themselves into the lives of these people, and not just kind of being in and out and then moving on like it seems so many organizations do.
As you know, Matt, out there in these villages, they have a village mentality, a village communal way of life. So it's a little different than our small towns here. In these villages, and this is really typical of a lot of places around the world, but in these villages, everything is done as a village. Now, people have their individual homes, their individual land that they farm, but there's always this village mentality as they move through life, that the things that I do and the things that happen in our village affect all of us and impact all of us. And so I want to try to do things that impact us in a good way. But in these areas where there's not a lot of education, they've been kind of left out there in the middle of nowhere for literally hundreds and hundreds of years. It's difficult, and they have a lot of things that are beyond their control that affect them in a negative way, and without really resources or an understanding or knowledge of how to fix that. And so as we go into a village and begin to meet people, we look to meet up with people who, one, welcome us in, who are interested in seeing some changes, good, positive changes come into their village. But then influential people as well, village leaders, people who really are movers and shakers in a small village. I think one village in particular, a village called Hati Village, Matt, where you've been a couple times, where we actually met a village doctor in that town through his son, who had contacted us, and went out and visited this family, got to know them, and over we'd go back and spend time with them. The son that contacted us was suffering from a massive tumor on his neck, and it was inoperable. And but we got to know him and really invested in his life and his family's life. And being the village doctor, this man was very influential with village leadership, with the whole village. Literally everyone from the village on a regular basis would come to his home looking for help for illnesses and things. And so as we spoke with him about the need for clean water, he understood right away. He knew right away that, a lot of the illnesses that we face as a village, as a whole community, come from a lack of clean water. And so as we began to work with him, provide a filter for his home, and he saw the difference through the filter, and talk about getting a good, clean, as clean as we could water source to their village. They, before that, had just an open trench system where water ran from a spring up the mountain in an open ditch and into a tank. And so they had plenty of water, but it was, it was open air. And so any kind of chemical fertilizers or even organic manure fertilizers, which are used over there a lot, all of that kind of stuff, garbage, trash, is just kind of in the open trench. And so the water that they were getting was just poisonous, literally. And so being able to work with him and meet village leaders and propose to them a desire to provide these water filters for families and to get them a pipe system where it's closed, it's not exposed to the contaminants. It took us about a year, really of building that relationship and getting to know people and getting them to trust us and for us to trust them. But Matt, we've done that piping project. They've got an abundance of water. We've put filters in just about every home in that village. And we've seen just amazing physical and emotional changes. And I think over the next year or two, we're going to see the impacts on the educational side of it as well. When kids are healthy, they're not, struggling with illness day in, day out. They learn more. They learn better. And I think that we're going to see an impact on the education side that then in turn, as these kids get to high school and hopefully move on to college and are able to help the village, it's going to be a long-term positive impact for change in these villages that it's just amazing what we can see happen. So, blessed. It's a great opportunity for people to be involved in something in a real simple way that brings about some pretty massive changes. I think of one lady speaking to some of our team members. They placed filters. She had gotten some of the first filters for her family. She had two, a little boy and a little girl, sweet kids. And we did an interview with her family before we put out the filters. And she was very aware of the illnesses that her kids deal with. And she knew that most of it came from their water source, and was excited about the opportunity to get a filter. And as we went back later on and were placing filters, doing some training with the villagers on how to keep those filters clean and operating properly, and sharing with them, she talked about knowing what love is and having experienced love because of the teams that had gone out and placed these filters. She said, I know what love is because I see you loving us, loving our village. And that's it's an amazing thing. I mean, I wouldn't trade all the difficulties, all the struggles of getting these things, all the fundraising, I just wouldn't trade for that type of comment, that type of experience, to see a mom know on a different level what it means to be loved and for her children to be loved because of people here, giving for a water filter. So yeah, it's amazing the changes that we can see happen.
Craig, let's do this. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about the school side of things and how administrators and educators who might be listening to the School Zone podcast might be able to help out with Clean Water Kids and what you guys are doing.
Great. Sounds good.
Are you an educator, administrator, or school volunteer looking for a simpler way to raise money for your school? Let School Spirit Vending put their hassle-free year-round fundraising program to work for you. School Spirit Vending. We do all the work. You cash the check. Go to schoolspiritVending.com/school zone for all the details. Okay, we're back with Craig Scoville. Craig, I wanted to delve in a little bit more to the school side of things, since our audience is educators and administrators and volunteers across the country, primarily in elementary schools. So talk a little bit about the school program, Clean Water Kids, what our hope is to accomplish there, and how these schools can get involved potentially.
Well, Clean Water Kids is was born out of just some meetings with you and some other guys that are part of our board of directors and who are kind of passionate about what we do as Kids Across Cultures. And the thought is that, we wanted to give other people, and most especially young people, an opportunity to be a part of these clean water projects. And again, these people projects of seeing life change come to a person's life, a child's life, a family. Over the years, we've probably literally had over 1,000 volunteers that I've been a part of taking to some of these villages and different opportunities to serve, whether it's educational or medical clinics or clean water projects. We've just done lots and lots of bringing teams over to be a part of what we do. And one of the things that I've seen is just the life change that happens when people who come to serve. You know, you go to a place like that with the idea that, man, I'm coming and I'm going to do some good for me. It's going to be a blessing. It's going to be even more a blessing for the people that we go to, that village. And it is. I mean, it's great when you can go in and provide those filters or provide a medical clinic or some training on young moms about how to keep their kids healthy and strong. It's great. It's amazing for them, and it's a great thing to do. But I've seen just about in almost every case that the people that come back, their lives are changed as well. They're blessed in just abundant ways. Matter of fact, most people tell me I came back. I believe I came back with a lot more than I left there. And you know, to me, that's a part of this whole thing, life change. And you know, we believe as an organization that you find real life by getting years away. And so Clean Water Kids is basically that. We want to give kids all around Texas, all around the U.S., if possible, the opportunity to give life away, to give these clean water clean water filters, or these ceramic water filters, to individual families, to villages, and be a part of bringing about life change for them. And I believe that not only will be life change for the villagers and for these kids that receive, but the ones that give. To know that you're a part of changing someone's life for the good, changing the life of the family of the village for the good, not just for a day, a week, a month, a year, but really having an impact a lifetime on these places and generations. It just, you can't describe how that affects you, and how that affects me, and how it affects those who are part of it. And so Clean Water Kids is just that. We want to invite schools to allow their kids to do some real simple fundraisers, to do some things to help provide these water filters for families overseas. One water filter will provide clean water for a family of 5 or 6 for 3 to 5 years. Typically 5 years if they do the upkeep well, and we give them really good training so they can do that. That filter should last up to 5 years. And the filter, to get out there and get the training done, to do the surveys and get the families ready for that filter, to get it delivered, and then to do follow-up, we're talking about $75 per filter, which is almost, I mean, to me, it's amazing that that little bit of money can do so much. And so, you know, the opportunity, I think, for schools, one, is to challenge their kids with looking outside of themselves, looking outside of their own environment, their own school, and seeing that there's places around the world where there's kids just like them who don't have the opportunities. Hey, give school an opportunity. Let's give that family an opportunity. Let's give that village an opportunity at something they never could have imagined. And a school can do that. A class can do that. A student council can do that. And we want to help them to be able to do that.
I know we did some work with some local kids that I know you're aware of, and we kind of shared with them what we were experiencing over with these kids in China, and kind of painted a vision for them. We set a small goal of, I think it was like 7 filters, that we thought, man, if the local kids could come up with, you know, and raise the money for 7 filters, it would be incredible. And it was amazing what these kids were inspired to do with no direction from us, purely talking with their parents and then getting creative. I know one little girl sold baked goods outside of a local gas station a couple different weekends. One little boy sold candy bars. One little girl actually decided to take her, I think, day money or Christmas money and donate it to a family and a filter. It was just incredible to see what these kids were willing to do and what they came up with if we just gave them the opportunity to serve.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I think I remember that well, and I think you and Scott Hooper are one of our other board members cast a vision for it. You shared with them the need, and you shared with them, here's how we can meet this need, this physical need. But those kids came up with these ideas on their own. If I remember right, you didn't go and say, hey, you do a bake sale and you sell candy bars and you give your birthday money. It was, hey, what can you do? And these kids went and they talked with their parents. They came up with these ideas and they implemented these ideas themselves. Is that right?
Yeah, and it was incredible. Just,
Yeah.
I think oftentimes we don't give kids in that age group enough credit, and we just look at them as kids, and they will surprise us and do amazing, incredible things if they're inspired to do so. And it's so fun to watch them create and to see what they come up with. That was as inspiring to me as anything with my involvement up to this point, is just to see what they were able to do. By the way, they ended up raising money for 20 filters, or 22, I think, instead of 7. So they completely blew away our expectations. And thankfully, we didn't put that lid on them, or they didn't feel held back by the low expectations that we had for them to begin with, since this was something new that we had never tried before.
Right. And these are kids, what was it like? It's 8 to 12 years old.
Yep.
Does that sound right? 8, 9, 10 years old, somewhere in there. And who, they just caught they heard, they understood the need on a level they could understand and wanted to do something about it. And they had parents too that wanted their kids to be interested in these types of things. And I think a neat thing to do would be to follow these kids over the next few years as they move from their age they are now into youth and beyond. And I would venture to guess that these kids are going to be giving and doing this type of thing for the rest of their lives because they were given this opportunity at a young age. So we had a group, Matt, of youth age, kind of the junior high school age kids who were challenged with this project, and we split them up into 3 teams, and each team was given $100, and I think a month of time, and in that month they were to increase that $100 to as much as they could by using it to invest and do fundraisers or whatever they could do to try to increase that $100 to. And then at the end of the time, the money would be pulled together and buy filters. And if I remember right, they came up with about $3,000 for filters. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I mean, these kids in 4 or 6 weeks, again, it wasn't about the competition, or it wasn't about, hey, I'm going to do as much as I can to raise money. It was, I see an opportunity to bring about life change. And so they worked hard, and they had to create opportunities. They had to come up with ideas, and they did that on their own without any help from you or me or others. They did it, and were able to just make a huge difference by raising up a little over $3,000. So.
How can a school who maybe has interest in utilizing Kids Across Cultures and the Clean Water Kids Project as a service project for their kids, how can they reach out to Kids Across Cultures to find out more details on our program and how they might be involved, and then get some specifics on how they might support what we're doing?
Well, there's a couple ways. We have the website cleanwaterkids.com that they can go to. They can also go to kidsacrosscultures.org, get on those sites, get a little bit of an idea of what the water filters are, how they work, and then reach out to us, email us, and we will respond. We'll reply to those emails and get a phone conversation with myself or you or some of our other board members. We would love to come to your school and share with your students the need. And we have some great visuals, some great video that we can really actually connect you with a village and show you their living conditions and the things they deal with and the need for these filters. And then be able to talk about the water filters themselves and give an example of how they work and the difference that these things make in the life of a child, a family, a village. And then give some opportunities for a school, a class, a group, if it's a student council or whatever it may be. We want to motivate and encourage your students to give life away. And we can do that with the help of a teacher or school leadership. Some of the things that have been successful is just putting the need out there and challenging kids to come up with some ideas like we did with the younger kids, Matt, that you talked about, and giving them a set time to be able to do some things and see what they come up with. And then the $100 challenge I thought was great. And I would personally be willing to do the $100 challenge with a class, the student council group, whatever it may be. I'd take $100 out of my pocket and hand it to them. And if they would take that for a month and see what they can do with it to raise money for filters. It won't be Kids Across Cultures money that people gave or any of that. I'll do that for a class if they want to take that challenge on and raise money for a month to 6 weeks or semester, whatever we set up. And at the end of that time, come back and see what they've been able to generate to provide water filters. And every penny of that will go to water filters. It won't go to administrative costs here in the U.S. or any of that. It'll go to the training for the villagers, the getting the filter on site, and then the follow up, and it'll all be used to really make a difference in these families' lives. But there's some simple things. Schools, they have athletic events that go on. If a school would commit to one football game or maybe each home game in their school for a year, that they're going to sell bottles of water and announce over the loudspeaker that the purchase of this bottle of water, every penny of that goes to other kids. I just believe that schools, parents, children would want to get involved in that, would support that. And, 100 or 75 bottles of water at $1 a piece is a water filter. And lots of other opportunities. There's some things that we can do. We can work with schools. We can work with teachers to be able to come up with some ideas to help them be able to do a successful fundraiser with their kids that will provide these filters.
Craig, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to hop on here and share a little bit. I am 100% committed, obviously, to the work that KAC is doing, and I'm really, really excited about a bunch more schools across the country deciding to get involved and sharing in the vision and helping improve the lives of these kids and their families in China and other parts of the world. Thanks a lot for your time, and have a great rest of the week, man.
Hey, thank you, Matt. And I would just like to say, it's guys like you, Matt and Scott and Jess, the others that are on our board of directors. There's guys like you all over the place who your lives are busy. You've got your own businesses. You have your own families. But you see the need out there, and you see that there's much more to life than just making money, than just, working for a vacation, whatever it may be. And, you guys have invested in the lives of other people. And I would guess that that's had an impact on you, your family, both your own children, your wife and children, and your larger family, your circle of influence. Your life is different because of the things that you've been able to do. And I just want to encourage other folks out there, men and women, life is short. We have not a lot of time on this planet, and to make a difference in the lives of other people. I just can't think of anything more rewarding. I know most of us do a good job with our kids. Most of us do a good job with our families. Why not spread that out a little bit, do some simple things, and instill in our families a need and a desire to give life away? Just makes for a better place, a better planet. So thank you, Matt. I appreciate you letting me come on.
Thanks, Craig. Take care.
All right, man. You too.